Hi, everyone. If you received this, it's because you're a student in my fall 2023 Biopsychology of Stress class. I'm really excited about having you in the class. Many of you are new to me. There's a handful that I've had in other classes before, but many graduated this past May. So I'm excited to introduce this topic to anybody who is new to it. And I have already uploaded some material for you, and I'm sending this to you as kind of an introduction and also as an explanation as to why I will not be there in class on Tuesday, the very first day of class. And this is not something I'm happy about at all. I was supposed to have a surgery in July. It got postponed till yesterday. And I thought, well, there's a chance I can make it on Tuesday. They told me probably not, but I was going to see. But then that got postponed until Thursday. So I have decided that obviously I'm not going to be able to be in school on this coming Tuesday. I hate that fact, but this is something that needs to take place. And I am hoping that if all goes well, I will be in class as scheduled on Thursday of next week. So there will not be any in-person class on Tuesday. And instead, you can take your time with going through this. I'm going to talk about the syllabus and some other things. And a couple of things about how the class will be run, and then you can, take the opportunity to look at the notes that are going to be posted for you, and we'll try to handle it that way. I do not like having to do it this way, but sometimes you do what you have to do. So I want to bring up the syllabus right now and go through this a little bit. Obvious things on the syllabus, what the class is, go figure, right? I give you my office hours, at least at this point. Sometimes they may change depending on student needs. And of course, appointments are always available. Virtual appointments are also available. I do not mind that at all. Sometimes it's helpful for me because I live in South Wales and it's a trek into school. So sometimes I welcome that opportunity to meet with you this way, even though I'd rather it was in person. Class meetings, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 11:30 to 12:50. The first time that I've ever offered a class at this particular hour, hoping that, I know it's a lunchtime deal. Hopefully that'll go okay. The text is not really a text. It is a book by one of the coolest guys ever, Robert Sapolsky, Dr. Robert Sapolsky. And the title of it is Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. It is split into chapters, and then I take each one of those chapters, add some more material to them, and treat them as lectures throughout the semester. And my goal here, as I have here in the syllabus, is I want to give you an understanding of the physiological and psychological components and the effects of both short-term and long-term stress. There are different types of ways we can address stress, and we'll be talking about that later on when we're in class. This textbook, which isn't really a textbook, was written for people who are non-scientists. It does a fantastic job, I think, of laying out all of the groundwork. There are times where I'll be bringing in extra material to delve a little bit deeper into some of the topics, and I will talk about how that will be presented in a moment. So here you go. I put it right here. Material covered in this course will include a description of the central nervous, cardiovascular, digestive, reproductive, immune systems, and the hypothalamic adrenal pituitary axis, as well as all of the relevant hormones and neurotransmitters. Now that sounds like a lot. It isn't really once we get to it and we frame it the way that it should. The immune chapter, I spent a lot of time on because it's very important and a little bit more in detail. I think a lot of people gain a better understanding of what's going on there. And don't panic, you can do it. And I always want to help. If you're ever, a little, concerned that you're not getting some of the material the way that you should, please come to me, let me know, email me or whatever, because I am here to help. It's a seminar course, which is just a fancy way of saying we go to a classroom. I stand up front, I say stuff, you sit in your chairs and desks and listen. But it's a very interactive class for me at least, and hopefully you will want to join in too and be really a part of it. So I'm going to be doing lectures, there'll be video presentations and discussion. Let me stop right there. No, I do not grade discussions. I will not be posting discussion boards to be graded. You will have discussion posts where you can ask questions when we're coming up to an exam or something. In class, it's informal. I just want you to participate when you feel like you want to. So ask questions, it's the best thing. And like I tell some people, if you ask a question, you're somebody's hero because somebody else was hoping that that question would be asked. So never be afraid to do that. And you are responsible for all material presented. That should be kind of a duh type of statement. I do not take attendance for grading purposes. I do take some attendance. I observe who is there, who isn't. And part of the reason is because if you don't come, you're not going to do as well. It's just the fact of it. The entire class I try to design so you benefit from being there. And so if you are absent all the time and you don't even try to come to me and make things up, you may have a lower grade than you would have otherwise. Not because I'm deducting points ever. My philosophy on that is there are people who have very, very legitimate reasons not to be in class. They may have responsibilities at home. There may be illness, theirs or somebody else close to them that causes them to have to miss to help care for them. There are reasons. And so I don't feel people should be penalized for that. And conversely, somebody can be in class every single day that we have class, but sit there doing something else in their mind or on whatever and not gain anything. So I don't see that as being, something that you just reward by giving points or not taking away points. So I just wanted to make that really clear at the outset. Of course, I'll be using D2L. You already figured that out, but I have to put that in the syllabus. I will be posting your grades, notices, schedule changes, class cancellations, and the lecture outlines that we will be using during lecture. Because this is a self-designed course, there is no course that is designed like this and has a textbook, which is fine with me because lots of the time I don't like the textbooks anyway. So I found this book and some extra materials that I hope will be useful and for you. And then I develop a formalized outline that you will have. And I have two separate versions of that. The first version is what I call a partial or student outline. And what that is actually the original lecture outline with parts taking out. So you have to fill in some of the terms or, different things. It keeps you kind of involved and active, and it also kind of brings your attention more to specific terms. I have heard from most students that they find this helpful. And what I'll do is make those partial outlines available. And then a few days after the lecture is completed, I post the complete ones so that you can go back and make sure you didn't miss anything. So that's kind of how the lectures are going to be handled. And of course, I can answer more when I actually do see you in class on a week from Thursday. So How am I going to evaluate you? There are so many words and terms that we use in this that sometimes it sounds like off-putting. Evaluate, I'm going to evaluate you, but we know that there are grades and that your performance on mastering different parts of the material is what needs to be assessed. And so this is what I've come up with. 3 online quizzes. There are 2 for this course. There's going to be 2 online quizzes that have 10 questions each, and then a third that has 5 points. It's worth 5 points. And there's different reasons for that, but these will be held online and on the day that class is held. And what I will do is make them available to you for an extended period of time throughout the day. You will still come to class, but I will let class out earlier to accommodate for the time that you're going to be using to take the quiz. I figured that's the fairest I can possibly be, and hopefully it works for you. There's 2 assignments. These are take-home assignments during the semester that are worth 5 points each. No essays, trust me, no essays. These are coloring homework where you have terms that you will be applying as you're doing your coloring, and a crossword puzzle that I've made up with terms that you need. So hopefully those are not things that are going to be too work intensive, but still be helpful. Now here's one of the assessments that sometimes students are worried about. And I invite you to ask other people who have taken my classes in the past, ask them about the oral exams and how they feel about them. And they are doable. First off, you will have a sheet presented to you. It will be available on D2L with every single question that will be on the oral exam. Now, do you need to answer everyone in class? Absolutely not. You will, out of the 15 to 20 questions, be asked to answer one of them. And that will be with somebody, and I give this to somebody else to do because I don't want to be blamed for anything. Your names will be in one bowl, the numbers of the questions in another, and they are randomly selected. And you sit at your desk, you do not get up, you do not come up front, you sit there and you answer that question to the best of your ability. You give me an answer that I feel is complete and accurate, you'll get 7 points. You're like, 7 points? I have to study all of these questions for this oral exam, and then when I answer one, I only get 7 points. You will find that you will be doing way better on the written exam that will be coming later, because every single one of these oral exam questions will be reflected on, I keep saying written exam, it'll be an online exam, but a full exam. And I know I have had students like literally come to me and say they learned that material so well, and they were actually glad that I gave them. I had one class where I dropped oral exams, and students who had me before asked me why they wanted an oral exam. I know that sounds wacky. But it's even possible to have fun during these. So I encourage you, number one, not to let that scare you. And then there will be a second one. And again, that material will be reflected on the final exam. So essentially you're halfway studied for each of the regular exams in the course. So you have a potential to get 7 points for each oral exam. And then just for taking them, coming in and taking them, I tack a point on. So even if you missed everyone completely, and that never happens, you'd still get a point to make it a total of a possible total of 15. At any rate, if let's say you totally freeze, deer in headlights look, yeah. And you just freeze, and you're thinking, I knew this answer, but I just can't pull it out. Or it's like, geez, there was one question that I didn't study very well, and this is it. You can say pass, and a second number is chosen for you, and you can start with 6 points if you give a complete answer. So that's kind of the scenario. And I will actually put a discussion post up. So if you have any questions about how the oral exams are conducted, you can post those questions on that discussion board. Or if you feel more comfortable, you can email me. So those are the 2 oral exams. And again, even though it doesn't look like they're worth that much, that can work in 2 ways. First, as I said, you are so prepared for the next exam with half of the material. Secondly, if you do not do well on them, it's not blowing you out of the water in terms of being able to get a really good solid grade. I had to come to kind of like a compromise with myself on those particular points. So next exams, 2 online exams. You will not come to class those days. They'll include multiple choice, short answer, maybe fill in the blank. And you will have a review sheet a week ahead of the exams. And then the oral exam that preceded that will also be material included on the exam. And, so you'll have that. These exams are worth 55 points each, meaning there's 55 questions. And again, you will have time during the day. It won't even be just during class time that you have the opportunity to take these exams. And so you can kind of choose the time that you want to take it, and you will not come to class on those exam days. Now, I do something to help people out, and I've given up trying to just pretend to not really doing it that way because it helps people. The last day of class, you will be able to take the second exam, which is your final exam, if you so choose. If you don't want to take that second exam on the last day of class, you will take it during the assigned class during finals week. Hopefully that makes sense. And that gives people an opportunity to get exams out of the way if they want to have more time to study later on. I think it opens up some possibilities for people to potentially get better grades. So the summary then of grading are the 3 online quizzes, 2 homework assignments, 2 oral exams, and the 2, and I did it again, I put written, I'm sorry, I'm going to do stuff like that all semester, trust me. Guess what is missing? Presentations, group presentations, and class presentations, student presentations. I finally eliminated them from all of my courses for a number of reasons. You are getting experience doing that in other classes. No matter how hard I try, and despite the fact that I generally allow students to choose their partners or group members, there are always a couple of groups that have difficulties because of some participation issues. So I decided you get presentations in other places, and I don't think you're going to miss doing one in this class. It opened up a lot more time later on in the semester that I will be filling with different types of material. I hope that's okay with all of you. Here is your grading system. I base it on a point system. It's easy. You'll be able to follow your grade on D12 by adding up your points and then subtracting like from the total you could get and finding out what you need and what to get a particular grade. And I put up here that, for example, the 148 to 160 points is an A because it's equivalent to a 93 to 100% if you used a percentile range. So hopefully that will work for everybody. I want to make one comment about withdrawals. There are limitations in terms of dates, and you need to watch those carefully. Also, if you towards the end of the semester think you want to take an incomplete, there are also certain things, conditions that you kind of need to meet to have that as an option. And some of those conditions are having completed a certain amount of the material in the class to actually be able to take it incomplete. And then you can follow up and complete the course later on. So if you have any questions about that, I'm more than happy to discuss those with you. A lot of this stuff is like, yeah, you've heard it before. I'm doing this just so, number one, I have an opportunity to kind of talk to you, but secondly, so I can kind of bring up points that I think are important for you. Cell phone policy. Obviously, if you're talking on your cell during class, it's disruptive. If your cell is ringing, that's disruptive. I have told the story of a number of years ago. I had a student who was literally sitting right in front of me. I had, the podium right in the middle of the front of the room, and this individual sat right in front of me and would take out their phone and talk on it right in front of me. The phone would ring. This individual would pick it up and talk, and I would stand there and just kind of wait. And it was obviously very disruptive. And I'll never forget the one day he goes, "Hi, Mom. Yeah, I'm in class right now. Yeah, so what's up?" And he's talking. Everybody's like, "Are you kidding me?" And I went and I go, "You think you could take that outside?" He goes, "Wait a minute, Mom. I've got to go out of the classroom to finish talking." After that day, I decided, I really needed to be a little firmer, and almost everybody has been so thoughtful with it. And I've never really had to address it again. But that really was a wake-up call for me. Now, if you're expecting a phone call during the class time, it could be an emergency, or that somebody might be reaching you for an important reason. Please do keep your cell phone when you keep your ringer on. And if that happens, just get up and let me know you're leaving the room because you need to discuss. I have no problem with that. I've had to do that myself sometimes. So academic honesty, you can read and the rules. Student, all of the different kinds of support you can get there. If you have any questions, ask me. But generally, I find that I almost said college, the now university, makes you aware of these pretty well. I think they're pretty efficient at that, but don't hesitate to ask if you need anything. And again, extra help. Please don't ever think that you should hesitate for a second to come to me if you want extra help. I am more than happy to help explain things. So another thing that we need to include in our syllabi are the psych department's learning objectives that we are meeting. I personally am meeting in this particular class, and also the college-wide department goals and the objectives and all of that. So we have, the Psych 391 major learning objectives. This is what I am hoping that you will get and be able to master during the course. And then, of course, I have to match those with what the department is asking for. And last but not least here is a tentative schedule of topics, assignments, and exams. And it's tentative because things happen, including snowstorms, including illness, including, a variety of things that cause schedules sometimes to go awry. So, but this is where we're starting. Today, when I'm doing this, is actually supposed to be for Tuesday, first day of class. And I'm doing the course description, the syllabus, and an introduction, basically, of the course. I am not going to do too much more of that with this because this Zoom or video, I should say, because I'd rather approach that during class when I'm in person, and we will have time for that. Again, feel free to look at the lectures. I'll show, if you look at D2L, you will easily see that I have modules and lecture outlines are included among those modules. So here I'm trying to do a chapter for class. Here's the first quiz and the homework that's due. And I will run through this. As you can see, oral exam 1 is here. Everybody will come, but at different times during the oral exam. I have found that with the larger classes, I need to split them up. Otherwise, it's torturous. And I also need to write way more questions. So I do that. So I split the class in half according to their last name in alphabetical order. So half of you, let's just say I'm starting with the A group, will come at the beginning of class. And then 35 minutes after class begins, the other half will come and wait until the group is out, and then you come in and take that your oral exams together. So it'll be a smaller group than the entire class, but you all will be having an opportunity to sit in the classroom with other students and take this oral exam, just to be clear. And I'm trying to think what else I can tell you about that. Again, I truly encourage you to ask other people who've been in my classes what they think about the oral exams. So this is pretty much how I'm going to try to go through. Here I'm even telling you what, chapters the quiz is on. To be announced. You're going to see a couple of these. Catch up, to be announced for a couple of reasons. The first being, sometimes we get behind because of the nature of the material or a missed class because of weather or something. And so I like to have that opportunity to make sure I get to cover all the material that I want to cover. And sometimes I think of something else I would like to add in. There are a couple of things that are new this semester for this particular class because I needed to find more, first off, to replace the presentations. And that's the upside of stress. Something that I found, I have a book that I found interesting with a different approach. So I will introduce some of those ideas to you and we can talk about them. A little bit about stress management, and then again, catch up review session. Last class of the fall semester will be December 7th, and that's when you can take exam 2/final exam, which only covers the material from exam 1 on. It's cumulative in the sense that if you don't know anything from the beginning of the class, it's probably going to be tough for you. So tougher than it should be. So, but the material on exam 2 will focus on everything after exam 1. So hopefully that makes things a little bit clear. And if I make changes at all, it's only for your benefit. I try very hard to adhere to my schedule for exams and quizzes and things like that. Sometimes I need to make a change, but it will always be to help and not to hurt. I hope that is clear right from the outset. At any rate, I will come back here for a minute. And sitting in front of my piano with horse pictures because I have to live vicariously through other people who have horses, love them. Unfortunately, I live in an area where there's a lot of horses. So you'll find out, if you've never had me before, my craze for animals and music. And I'm really hoping to make this not a burdensome class, but something that you benefit from and maybe might even enjoy. Again, I so apologize for not being able to be there in person on the first day of class. I am hoping that I'll be able to be there in person on the following Thursday. You will know if that's not going to be able to happen. And so I figured if it's going to happen, probably best right now because it's not into heavy material. So sorry it has to be like this. I'm so looking forward to seeing you in person and meeting all of you who I don't know yet. And so if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I will do my best to respond as soon as possible. after I kind of come to from my surgery and anesthesia and all that good kind of stuff. So have a good rest of your day, and I will see you soon.